Hey, One Stop Co-op Shop viewers, Mike here, and today I'm looking at Cerebria, the Inside World from Mind Clash Games. So if you aren't familiar with this game, this is basically sort of like Inside Out if joy and sadness, instead of getting along in the end, decided to have a giant battle for control of the brain. You have the forces of bliss, you'll see these kind of orange tinged cards and characters here, going against the forces of gloom, the darker characters. And the idea is that you're going to be fighting to place these fragments of like memory and emotion into the identity, which is over here. And you're going to slowly build up this tower with each of you getting fragments. And when the game ends, through one of several ways, whoever has more victory points, mainly from those fragments, although you can get them in other ways, wins the game. Now this game can be played 1 to 4 players, 1 to 6 players with the expansion. And I'll note these beautiful miniatures come with the expansion, but they have really nice standees if you don't have that. And you can play it cooperatively with 2 players, both being on the same team, so it'd be like 2 Gloom players versus a Bliss AI. Or you can play, as I'm doing here, a solo spirit, and I could actually control 2, but I'm doing solo because the game is a bit much to manage and show on the camera with 2 characters. And I'm going against 2 Bliss automa-controlled characters here. So I asked the Patreon which character I should control, and Anxiety won by a thin margin. But Harmony and Empathy were not too far behind, so they'll be our opponents in this game. And just to kind of show you the full board, because once I start playing, I'm going to have to zoom in so things are kind of visible. The board of Cerebria is divided into these 5 realms. So you'll see they have these borders around them, and each kind of have their own illustration and color. And they're separated by these frontiers. So you'll see there are spaces for cards. 4 cards influence a realm, so the 4 that are kind of within that realm. 3 cards in a triad influence control of a frontier. And the card in the middle here could potentially influence all 3 of those things. And you've got these tokens to show which side, Bliss or Gloom or none, controls each realm. And the same thing for the frontiers. You can show which side is controlling them. And how you control them, because this is, in essence, an area control game, is by placing essence on these emotion cards. So you're starting out with some really weak ones, Bleakness and Brightness for the Gloom and Bliss factions, respectively. And the essence will show how much power they have to influence how intense the emotion is. So right now they're all starting at 1, but if I put another essence token on here, their intensity would go up to 2. And the basic idea is for control of these areas, whoever has the most intensity combined of their emotions and potentially their fortresses will control the given realm or frontier space. But zooming into my actual character, Anxiety, I'm going to show you how I kind of set him up in the game. And I will say, because the game is so big and I want to get to the playthrough quickly, I'm not going to show you the full setup, but Paul Grogan has done an amazing video kind of doing an overview of how to play the game and how to set it up. So I'll link to that in the video description, and hopefully that'll help you out if you want to get all the details for playing the game. So for all the spirits, and there are 8 in the game, 4 Gloom and 4 Bliss, they each have an A and a B side. The A sides are all identical. It's kind of like the basic side to learn the game. The B sides share some actions with their A sides, but each spirit has a bunch of unique actions that are totally different from any other spirit. And each spirit also has a power that is all their own. And then this is to track how many actions they've used and what they can do at the end of their turn. So first starting with a Shaper, which is a single spirit controlling an entire side, which is how I'm soloing this game. I'm going to have 6 willpower. I'm going to have my little token here showing that I'm already absorbed for this turn, so I can't absorb as the first player. And again, I'm just going to track my 3 actions per turn. We've got 2 Essence, which I already noted is going to go on emotion cards to make them more intense or to play new emotion cards. We've got 2 starting cards. We've got Embarrassment, and again, you'll see these, pretty much everyone starts with 1 intensity. And apart from having special powers, you'll see each of them has a space at which they can be basically evolved into a strong emotion. Right now, these are all weak emotions. Then additionally, every emotion in the game has a special power. So what I've done, you can build your own deck in this game, basically construct it. You put 16 cards together, and you can have more than 2 of any given type. And what I've focused on for this deck, because I just want to show you me smashing some blissful emotions, is the Quell action, which is pretty much the attack other emotions action. It's how I'm going to get rid of bliss emotions from the board. So you can already see with the 2 guys I drew how I'm focusing on this element. Mistrust, if I put him in a triad that has at least 1 other bliss emotion, so if I put him kind of in a contested triad, then he gets a +1 intensity token, so he'll be stronger. And then Embarrassment is key to my strategy. Embarrassment has a global effect that any time an emotion is removed, usually that's going to be from being quelled to death, I get to get 1 willpower, whether it's my emotion or theirs. I'm going to try to probably get embarrassment on the board really quickly. Now, anxiety's special power is, usually these bleakness emotions that you saw on the board to start are only used for starting the game, but anxiety has the ability to put up to 4 more of them out. And that's going to free me up to not have to use cards from my hand as often, which you'll see will be pretty beneficial as we go on. Now, I've got these 5 actions, and these are consistent across all spirits, but again, the individual bonuses you can get can differ. And I get to place these tokens on 4 of them, and I can either just cover up the opening space, which you need to use the action at all, or I can upgrade some of them with any of these 3 little upgrades that improve the way that action works. So in this case, move is moving around. You kind of always want to have that. Invoking is placing more spirits. Of course, I want to have that. Invoking is placing more emotions on the board. Definitely want to have that. Quelling, I already said, is me smashing some heads, so I need that for sure. And for my last one, Empower is to boost up an emotion to a strong emotion, but as you saw from my starting ones, it's going to take quite a while to get that high. And then Fortify places these fortresses on the board, which help you control places and also can go into the middle of the board to help you win the game. But I think instead of going on that, I'm going to upgrade one of my other 3 actions and try to start with a boost there. So both Invoke and Quell have the same 4th option for an upgrade. That's -1 willpower cost. So you've got this willpower kind of resource here that you have to spend for pretty much every action you might do. But additionally, I can fly super far, so I can move usually only 1 space, but with this upgrade I can move 2 more, up to 3 spaces. This will let me move to another player's space, like an enemy character's space. And this is an interesting one. This would let me teleport to where a bleakness emotion is. Remember, I can put those down more easily and get 2 willpower when I do so, which is pretty cool. But for now, let's keep it simple. I think I'm going to invoke this turn, so let's make invoking cost 1 less. And final thing I'll show you before we start getting into the game proper, you've got a Gloom main board and a Bliss main board that's not used for the AI. And you can put this on the A or B side as well, which will change up how you get extra victory points. That's down here. So I'm using the Gloom A side. It is probably a little bit unfair of me to do because that is going to give me victory points for quelling emotions, and that's what I want to do anyway. So if I was on the other side, it would be a little bit less synergistic with my strategy. You'll also see all of these aspirations. These are basically the things we're fighting over to put our fragments into the middle and build the identity to win the game. And you see all 9 of them at once and what order they're coming in. But I'm just going to show you this first one, which is Sensibility. This is going to be the first one we fight over. And it says whoever has the most intense emotion will win this little challenge. Additionally, I have a hidden aspiration, which cannot be the same as the current one. I'd have to shuffle it back in if it was. So this says have more essence on the main board. So that means basically pump up my emotions or place more of them on the board. So I'm going to try to do both those things, of course. Now, the AI doesn't really need very much. They have their own little deck of cards, and you get to see the left side of the cards, so I know that they're going to do 1 of 3 Endeavor actions this turn, but I'm going to draw a second card and put it next to it to determine what they actually do. But I can kind of anticipate a little bit, so they're either going to quell one of my emotions for up to 2, or they're going to boost one of their own emotions, or they're going to place a new emotion, so none of those are really great for me. And just to note how turn order works, I'm going to take a turn, then one of their spirits is going to go, then I'll take another turn, then another one of their spirits, and we just repeat that until the game is over. Alright, so on my turn I'm going to take 3 actions, and again, a lot of them will cost willpower, and I'm going to have to get willpower back. At one point during my turn, I can absorb willpower from the center, but I'm not going to do that because I can't do that on the first turn if I'm the starting player. And then finally, at the end of my turn, I'll choose to either gain an ambition or draw 2 cards. So looking where I am at the moment, I would love to quell this guy and get rid of him. But quelling is not too easy to see, but requires 2 willpower and an ambition. You see on my board, I have all my ambition inactive right now. I can turn 1 active at the end of each round, but clearly I can't do that, so I can't quell the guy yet. So I think what I'll do with my first action instead is put out Embarrassment, which again is going to give me a global bonus whenever any spirit is defeated. So to invoke a spirit usually costs 2 willpower, but because I have this upgrade, it only costs me 1. And anytime you do any action, you can discard an emotion from your hand to put the green, in this case, vibe token, you've got 4 different colors, on an upgrade space of the action you're doing, and you can do something more special with it. So for example, here I could discard that other emotion to upgrade to this, which means for 3 more willpower, I could not only put 1 essence out of my 2 on my supply from this guy, but I could also immediately boost him with another essence from the bank that I wouldn't even have to pay for. And that would, as you see, immediately make him have 2 intensity instead of 1. That would make me winning the current goal for more intensity, so that might be something I want to do. Now, the negative of that, though, is that I would not have another emotion in my hand, but don't forget, my character's ability lets me put these bleakness emotions down instead, so I kind of always have some extra cards in my hand in a way to put down. So you know what, sure, let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to boost this up so that I can invoke my emotions more powerfully. And important to note that you cannot place the same color on your same action. So if I wanted to make green even stronger with this other one, I would have to use a emotion, discard an emotion with a color other than green. And when you discard things, they go to the bottom of your deck. And sorry, I should have noted, you always can see what the top card of your deck is. In this case, it's Craving, which is a pretty cool one. If you put him down and you don't have any ambition, you get another action. So basically, he does not cost you an action to play. All right, so I'm invoking. It's 2 willpower plus 3 more to gain a extra bonus essence from the bank, but then -1 total. So it's not -1 to each thing I did. And I can choose what I want to use. So I don't have to always use this. It's when I choose to. But so in this case, it's 5 -1. That's 4 willpower for my first action. And willpower you spend just goes back to the general supply, and to get more, you have to either use actions or absorb, but don't forget I can't absorb in my first turn. And I can only, in general, affect and influence emotions that are directly adjacent to me. So when I'm on this frontier space, I can only mess with the emotion spot on the frontier. If I'm in the realm, then I can mess with either emotion next to me. So I have to put embarrassment here. Embarrassment gets 1 essence that I have to spend for my own supply, so I couldn't invoke him at all if I didn't have that. But then because of the upgrade I use, I'm going to get a second one. So now he has 2 intensity. And after basically every action you take, you do check for control of realms and frontiers. So in this case, no one is influencing this realm except for embarrassment, so I do gain control for Gullium of this realm. Control of realms and frontiers will affect the aspirations a lot of the time, so they could get you victory points to win the game. But then additionally, you have these actions that are available from every realm, and you can use these actions whether you're in the realm or not. It does not matter, but if you control the realm, then you don't pay the 1 willpower cost indicated. So here, for example, for 1 action, I could place an essence on one of my emotions that's adjacent to me to make it stronger. And I should mention, by the way, in case they come up, how I get extra victory points. If I absorb 4 or more willpower, then I get a victory point. If I quell an emotion, I'll give them to try to do that next turn, I get a victory point. If I upgrade an emotion fully, I get a victory point. If I make an emotion fully intense, fill its last essence spots, I get victory points. And also if I fully upgrade an action. So here, if I put like 1 more on invoke. And if you do those things within the same turn, and if you do any of those things within the same turn, the first one's worth 1 victory point, each one after that is worth 2. So it's good to kind of plan them and chain them together. All right, for my second action, I will move to be ready to quell that little brightness guy over there, looking so happy. That's going to cost me 1 willpower. Again, you can move 1 space along these lines, and all the spaces are just these little triangles within each realm. If I upgraded, I could move more, but I don't need to right now. And I cannot generally land on an opponent's spirit space unless I have that upgrade and use the willpower for it. Then for my final action, just to prepare for next turn, I'm going to use a realm action, which is the Valley of Motives. I do not have control over it, so it will cost me 1 willpower, which is all I have left. But in exchange, I get 4 willpower, so I'm basically just going to have 4 willpower on my board going into the end of my turn. So when I finish my turn, I flip it to show that next turn I will be able to absorb from willpower, so you have to see how that works. And then I get to choose either to gain 1 ambition or 2 cards. Now, I don't have any cards, but again, I can use bleakness from the supply with my special power. And I need ambition to quell, so I'm definitely going to set myself up with some quelling potential for next round. All right, now let's go to the AI, the ego player, and see what they do. We already knew that they were endeavoring, so we flip this next card over. And they did a double endeavor, which we are seeing. So the first one tells me that it's this card. This one tells me which of the 3 possible spaces. They're going to empower one of their own spirits, which is kind of terrible for me because that's going to mess up the main objective that we're fighting over right now, which is to have the biggest intensity spirit or emotion. So what they're going to do is they're going to try to place 2 essence on the emotion, and they're additionally going to put a +1 bonus token on it. And because they have this exclamation point, they're going to get an additional +1 token, so this spirit is going to be huge. And just to note, empathy is the one doing this action. We'll get to harmony a little bit later after I go again. So the AI has a bunch of ways that it kind of figures out and goes through to figure out what the best action for it is. But generally speaking, the first thing it considers is how much impact its action can have. Impact is first trying to adjust the common aspiration. Right now we're fighting to have the most intense emotion. Then next it'll try to control realms. Next it'll try to control frontiers. And then if none of those things apply, it'll generally just do whatever is closest to it and try not to move. Now I will note that specifically the action I'm about to do, where you're improving a spirit and making it bigger, that one does not usually use intensity, but I'm using a variant where it does, just to make the game a little bit more challenging and also to avoid AI doing kind of dumb moves, which it does sometimes. So interestingly enough, the AI is going to make big the guy that I'm literally about to attack, which might be good for me. So he gives him another essence, and now he's at 2 intensity, and then he gives him a bonus 2 tokens, and now he's at 4 intensity. But remember that the action said he was going to add 2 essence tokens. So whenever the AI can't quite finish an action or use its full effect, they gain 1 victory point as kind of a consolation prize. Now this spirit did not move during its action and didn't need to, because they have a wider range than I do. He can influence all 3 people in a triad, and the other one can influence everyone in a realm. So they can move once per turn, but if they didn't move, sometimes there will be a little movement thing. This is what it looks like. That'll tell them to move clockwise or counterclockwise anyway, and they just move within their thing. So the realm person jumps from realm to realm, the frontier guy jumps from frontier to frontier. But in this case, we don't have that, so he's not moving. And then after he moves or not, he's going to absorb from the middle, just like I would have. And how much he absorbs is based on how well he's doing in the aspirations. So first he looks at the common aspiration sensibility, and he is winning that. They have a 4 intensity spirit, and I only have a 2 intensity spirit. So because they're winning, they next see how they're doing on their hidden aspirations. So normally I wouldn't see this, but I get to reveal it now. And it says, have more different vibes on emotions. So you'll see that brightness and bleakness don't have this, but embarrassment has a blue vibe. And again, there's 4 colors. The symbols don't really matter. That is different for gloom and bliss. So currently I have 1 vibe and they have 0. So they are not winning this. So if they're winning everything, like their own aspiration and the common one, they would discard 3 willpower, because when these things, one of these spheres of willpower gets fully depleted, that's when you score and put these fragments onto the identity to win victory points. When they're winning the common aspiration but losing their hidden one, they get rid of 2 willpower instead, and if they're equal, they go clockwise. And they get to keep 1, which is going to boost them, you'll see when we go into one of these scoring modes. The other one, they just return to the supply. If they had been losing the common aspiration, they wouldn't want to get rid of the willpower too quickly, so they'd only take a single one and add it to their little hand. That'll, again, help them win. Alright, so that's it for the eye turn. I do get to see what the next first half of a card will be. So it's a Defiance card. If they draw another Defiance, they'll take a double turn. That would suck. This, they'll put down 2 new emotions. And here, they'll try to put down a Fortress. By the way, you can play the odds a little bit. There are 4 of the Endeavor cards. I've already seen 2 of them and only 3 Defiance. So definitely most likely is that I'll draw one of the 5 green cards and have them place a Fortress next turn. And one final thing, whenever we absorb either of us from the spheres in the center, we rotate them 1 space clockwise, as the arrows show. I love this because they just rotated in an ambition gaining space for me. After I absorb from here, I can discard 1 willpower to gain an ambition. Remember, that'll let me destroy more of their emotions. And I should note real quick that they have taken control of this realm, but it's not going to be for long. They've got 4, and I've got only 3 total. Now, my Quell action will cost me 2 willpower and an ambition. I have those things, and that'll take away 1 essence from the target emotion. But if I can get an upgrade here, I can spend 2 more willpower and take away a second one and just destroy that guy outright. Now, how can I upgrade without cards in my hand? Because remember, you discard an emotion to place these upgrade tokens. I can use 1 ambition, not as an action, but whenever I want, to upgrade one of my spaces as well with a wild token, whichever color I want to use. So I'd like to do that here. So again, convenient for me, I've got this ambition gaining space right here. So I'm going to start my turn by absorbing. Again, this does not cost an action. I just flip my token over to show I've done it. And absorbing is a simple little calculation. You get 2 from here automatically. And then for each of the frontiers you control, if you are adjacent or within range of them, so here I could potentially gain both of them, I gain +1. So because I have this frontier, I'm getting 3 willpower from the center. Then additionally I get to use its bonus if I want to, so I'm going to discard 1 of those willpower to activate a second one of my ambition. And here we go, we're ready to crack some heads. I'm going to use that second ambition to upgrade my Quell action. Let's see, I played a blue, which means theoretically blue is less frequent, so I'm going to use a blue color vibe token. Remember, none of these have cost an action. I still have all 3 of mine, so now I'll spend an action. I'll spend 2 + 4 for the upgraded effect, +1 ambition to double quell an emotion adjacent to me. So brightness, you're not going to be smiling too long. I remove 2 essence. Once I do that, the emotion is discarded. It doesn't matter if they have these tokens on them. And just a note, brightness and bleakness are removed from the game when they're destroyed, unlike the other emotions, which just go to the bottom of the deck for discarding. So big switch there. I take control of this realm. They lose control of that frontier, although I don't have it because I have nobody in the triad that's associated with it. I also, for quelling, get an intention of 1 victory point. And note that if I upgrade an action fully or put the last essence token on a spirit, I'll get 2 more victory points, which might be worth doing. So I get 1, and note that you get some bonuses. So if I get to the 2 victory point space, I'm going to gain a free essence, get a free card draw, get a free ambition, kind of around. And one of the game end triggers is getting all the way to the 20 space, back to 0, basically. And let's not forget our friend Embarrassment. A spirit left the board, so I'm getting 1 willpower for that. And I could start setting myself up for other craziness on the board, but I think I'm going to go ahead and move over here. That's my second action and 1 willpower. And then if I use the Land of Desires, which I now control, so it won't cost me a willpower, I can place 1 essence from my board, which is what I have on an adjacent emotion, and that'll upgrade Embarrassment fully. Now, it's not making him any more intense, but it does mean that he's ready to be upgraded if I use the Empower action, which I would have to get first. But additionally, it means that I'm getting 2 more victory points. It moves me up to the 3, and I do gain a free essence to replace the one I just spent. All right, not a bad round at all. I think I'm going to draw 2 emotions this time because I would like to get the Empower action and upgrade Embarrassment, because then it'll give me a ton of stuff every time I quell an emotion away. So we would draw Craving. And Loneliness. Loneliness is a nice one because if I put him on a triad where none of his friends are, then he'll get a +1 intensity token. I flip the new top card. Anger just lets me draw a replacement emotion, basically, so he's pretty simple-minded. Without Ambition, it does mean I won't be able to quell next turn, but that guy's pretty far away, so I don't think it matters too much, and let's not forget to rotate this after I absorb. All right, getting over to Ego. Defiance with... as I suspected, one of the green ones, Judgment. Means he's going to place a fortress. This is Harmony this time, the realm-based spirit. She's going to place one of these fortresses on one of the spaces for them here. And a few things happen with these. First of all, they give a +1 token, which acts kind of like 1 intensity from a emotion, so it can help them control the realm, but does not affect the frontier. And then secondly, when one of these spheres is emptied and we trigger a revelation, the scoring round, if the sphere was emptied from where this fortress was and the fortress was not made this turn, that gets added as well, which is worth a bunch of victory points. Now, she's not necessarily going to put it there. Remember, she can move 1 space clockwise or counterclockwise. And what she's looking for first in Impact is to influence the current common aspiration. But since that's to have an intense emotion, this is not going to help at all. So next, she'll try to take over a realm, either take it for herself or get me out of there. So here she has 2 options, because I control both the realms adjacent. But here she won't actually affect anything, because I've got 2 intensity, so the 1 won't mess with anything. So that means she's going to go over to the Cradle of Senses. So forget they have their own rules, she can just jump straight to the next realm. She builds that here, which has 1 intensity, and that does mean the Cradle is now not controlled by either of us. And she has to absorb from here. So remember, she'll take 3 if she's winning both the common aspiration and the personal one, but she'll take only 1 if she's losing the common aspiration, which right now they are. They have a 1 intensity emotion, and I have a 2 intensity emotion. So she's just going to take 1 and add it to their little pool, giving them 2 willpower so far. And we'll see what those willpower points do when we get to the first revelation, but basically it's going to screw up my control of the winning conditions. And this does rotate it once clockwise. And since it didn't come into play last time, note that this one says she would move clockwise, but that's only if she didn't already move for this operation, and she did. All right, we get a preview of her next card. It is a Judgment, that's the most common one. And right now things are pretty balanced, so I don't really have any idea what's going to happen. She'll either try to destroy one of my fortresses or place her own. I don't have any, so that won't matter. She'll try to place 2 new emotions. Or she'll do a double special operation, which will be based on the current common aspiration we're fighting over, so I hope she doesn't get that one. All right, so for this turn, I think in preparation for destroying more spirits later, I'm going to try to upgrade Embarrassment to the strong emotion version. So that's Empowering, which is a 3 willpower action, but note that I don't actually have that upgraded yet, so I cannot empower. But when I choose to take that action, I can discard one of my spirits like before and put the vibe token on there, and then suddenly I have that action available to me. But I don't have enough willpower yet, so let's absorb to start out. So I have two options here. I'm going to get 3 willpower either way because I control the frontier that I'm on. Since I'm right on the frontier, it doesn't matter if I control the one to either side. I have to be on the realm for that. So it would definitely give me 3. The question is, do I want to get 3 from humility, which will also give me another essence token for placing or strengthening more emotions? Or do I want to do it at diligence and get 2 more willpower, so get 5 total? Considering I still have an essence token, and I think I'm going to do some pretty expensive actions this turn, I think I'm going to go ahead and get the 3 from diligence, and I get 2 more from the supply. So that gives me 7 willpower total. For my first action, I am going to empower, and I'm going to get rid of loneliness to power that, because I like the idea of playing craving for basically 0 action, since I have no ambition. So I'll discard loneliness to the bottom, and place a blue token on the first base of empower. And I'll then spend 3 willpower. And it's kind of small to see, but embarrassment tells me what he upgrades into, which is shame. So here he is, and he's going to keep all the essence tokens, so he'll go right up to being a 3 intensity emotion, which will help me again with the current aspiration we're fighting over. And then he's great. Whenever an emotion leaves the board now, I get either 1 essence, 2 willpower, or a card. I get to pick which one, so that's going to be awesome as I quell more. And embarrassment himself goes in my discard pile. And shame is coming in, really dominating this space. You know, I was thinking I'd move and then play Craving for my second and third action. But now I'm thinking I might want to move straight to be able to attack somebody again next turn. But to do that, I need to move more, so I could discard Craving to do that, and then I could play Obliqueness instead of one of my regular special guys. So yeah, let's try that. So I'm going to move for my second action, and I'll go ahead and discard Craving, a red vibe, and I'll upgrade my move. That lets me move up to 3 spaces now if I spend a second willpower. So I will spend 2 willpower. I'm going to fly straight to this realm. Then I'll spend 1 more willpower for my invoke action, because remember I get a 1 discount to place a bleakness adjacent to me. Then we'll use my final essence for now. That means if next turn I'm able to destroy that brightness, I'll gain a nice advantage, and I'll gain control of this realm as well. Alright, so that's the end of the turn. I'm going to gain 1 ambition. So I won't have any emotions, but I'll be ready to quell some things. Now we're going to Empathy's turn. So not quite sure what to expect here. Okay, they're going to place 2 more emotions on the board. Uh-oh. So what they're going to do is they're going to draw 2 cards, and each one will get a single essence place. And yeah, there is no bonus or movement on here. Right, so here's Empathy. He draws 2 cards. And as preference is going to be someone with a vibe they don't have, but they don't have any right now, so this will be the same. Then next will be the person who can get the strongest. So he's going to place Innocence first and then Generosity second. Now again, he wants to first fulfill the common aspiration, but placing these guys anywhere is going to help him with that. And then next he wants to take Realms over. So that's a pretty clear choice. If he places Innocence here, then with him having the only power in this realm, he'll gain the Valley of Motives over himself. But he won't gain the Willow of Values away from me because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 there. Let's see, where will he go for the second emotion? He can't take the realm from me here, really do much of anything because of shame. Placing another person here won't help him at all. I'm sorry, I should have noticed he also grabbed that frontier. Now, placing over here won't get him the realm, because if you have somebody in the space closer out of the 2 that go into a realm, the frontier space is blocked if it's for the other side. But if he can't take realms, the next thing he wants to take are frontiers, and by placing this guy here, he would at least take that away from me, so he's going to pick that for his second placement. All right, we got another Defiance. So let's see, the Endeavors are pretty much gone, so pretty likely, again, that they'll be placing a Fortress, although not for sure. Now, I know he wants versatility as I go into my action. Final thing, he gets to pick which space he wants to pull from. Now, because he's losing currently on that common aspiration, he's only going to take 1, and he's going to take it from the larger one, because he doesn't want to get closer to things being scored since he's not winning. Oh man, I see how this could be a huge turn for me. You'll note there are only 4 willpower things left here. And I could absorb all 4 of those if I controlled both of the frontiers while I'm here in this realm. So the thing is, if I destroy the brightness and then put my own emotion in here, I will have both realms. Then I can grab that. That should set me up pretty well, and I might even be able to get a bunch of victory points out of it. And the problem is I only have 1 willpower right now, so clearly I'm going to have to address that first. All right, so I guess I'll use the Valley of Motives to gain 4 willpower. I'm going to have to spend my 1, though, to get it. So that's my first action. For my second, I will go ahead and quell this guy. It costs me 2 willpower and inactivating my 1 ambition. So he is removed from the game. And because of my friend Shame, I get to pick something, and I'm gonna get... I have no essence to actually play anybody right now, so let's get an essence. And for my third action, I will invoke a bleakness right next to me. I wish I could make it a real spirit, but I don't have one right now. I have to place it right next to me, and I will use the essence I just gained from destroying their spirit. And let's not forget, I'm gonna get 1 victory point for quelling that guy, but I'm about to get more because I'm going to take 4 willpower. One... Oh, actually, that got me a emotion, so I don't have to place the bleakness. Let's see what I get. Yes, I forgot. I'm getting anger. On top now is another loneliness. So yeah, I could place anger instead of bleakness as my final action, because that'll give me a second vibe to oppose them on their hidden objective right now. And then anger also has a nice ability to let me draw 2 emotions and keep one of them. So I've got a loneliness or a dislike to choose from. Dislike will give me willpower for every quell, or every... Yeah, actually, each quell upgrade I have, which I already have 2 of, so I'm definitely going to get him. Loneliness goes to the bottom, and I'll have a bitterness. If he gets placed on a space with a fortress of either player, then he gets +1 intensity. And finally, to end my round, I am going to absorb all 4 of these. I do now control this realm as well as this frontier, which is awesome for me. So I get all 4 of these willpower. I will discard 1 of them to gain an ambition token for next turn. And now we get to see our first revelation. So first we're going to consider all of our aspirations. The common one, my hidden one, and their hidden one. And they're going to use their willpower to potentially screw up my plans. So first we look at the common one, who has the most intense emotion. I've got shame worth 3, and they have nothing above 1, so I'm winning by 2. So they'll try to stop me. Their first 2 willpower will lower my success basically by 1, and then each additional one will lower it again up to 3 lowerings. So here, 2 willpower brings me down to a 2 intensity emotion, and 1 brings me down to a 1 intensity emotion. So that means now we're tied. So I don't get that, and neither do they, but all their willpower is gone. Then this gets flipped over, so we will move on to the next aspiration. That's another game-ending condition if all 9 of these get flipped. Okay, so next we look at who has the most essence, my hidden one. And there's not really any contest. I have like 9 and they have 2. So because I won that, I get to place one of my minor fragments. There are major ones you can get through other means on this identity in the middle, and that'll be worth victory points for me. And then this gets removed from the deck, so I'll have a new one. And then finally we look at their hidden achievement. And by the way, only they can win theirs and only I can win mine, so I couldn't get a fragment from theirs. I have 2 vibes down, blue and red. They only have 1 green, so they lose this. And it's also removed from the game. Don't forget, if there was a fortress here next to the sphere that had not been built this turn, it would get added automatically, but there is not one. So instead we refill this back up to 7 willpower and rotate it like normal. And then the AI gets to be mad at me for beating them and getting some fragments. So for every fragment I gained, they get 1 willpower for next time for free. Now the next aspiration is not great for me. It's have more intensity from fortresses. They have a fortress, I don't. And on top of that, I don't have the fortify action even available to me yet. I have to upgrade into it. Oh, my hidden aspiration, pretty lucky. It's sensibility again. I'm already ready for that, having the most intense emotion. And let's not forget that I did gain 4 willpower, so I'm getting 2 more victory points since I already gained 1 for the quell. That brings me up to 6, which gives me another ambition. Jeez. All right, definitely a good turn for me. Let's see how Harmony responds. So Defiance goes with Judge or Endeavor. Oh, no, that means they're going to try to quell 1 essence from 2 different emotions I control. I guess they got a little mad at me. Now remember, the current common aspiration is about fortresses, so that doesn't matter too much for this. So instead, she'll be looking at realms. So if she quells bleakness out of the game, then she can gain control of Cradle of Senses. And if she comes over here and quells one of these guys out of the game, she won't affect this. But she will at least steal a frontier from me, which she also wants to do. Now she wants to go after the biggest emotions, but these guys are all the Cerebria. Check. She's first going to remove bleakness from the game. That's going to give her control of the Cradle of the Senses, and no, it won't affect any frontiers yet. And for a second one, she's going to run over here. And note, they don't care about being in the same space as me. They can do that as much as they want. She would next go after the one with the highest max intensity. They're the same. Closest, they're the same. So next she'll do clockwise. She'll get rid of another bleakness. Now, sad for her, shame does not care if it's a bliss or gloom emotion being destroyed. So I'm getting 2 bonuses here. So I think for 1, I'll get my friend bitterness. And for another, I'll get an essence. All right, and she's going to absorb. Now, she is winning the common aspiration, because don't forget, it's to have the most fortresses. And the next one is, have the most adjacent emotions. She only has 2 that are separate from each other. I've got a little side-by-side pair here, so she's losing that, so she's going to take away 2 and only keep 1 of them. And then this will rotate around. And, oh, interesting. I could go ahead and absorb 4 again, couldn't I? Yeah, let's see. If I absorb 4 and then run over and quell somebody again, that'll get me 3 more victory points. That seems like I gotta do that, even though they're going to win the fortress victory point here. So 1, 2, 3 would get me over to innocence. 1, 2 would get me to generosity, but I need to upgrade so that I can move there first. See, if I absorb, I move, I quell, maybe I invoke too. So before I take any actions, I'm going to go ahead and absorb and trigger another revelation. All right, so this time first, fortitude. They're certainly winning that without any competition because they have the only fortress, so this gets added. And that gets turned down. Next for mine, sensibility. I'm winning 3 to 1, so their 2 willpower will only lower that by 1, so they can't compete with me, so they're not even going to waste their willpower trying. And that gets me another minor fragment. Then finally, unity. They're losing. They have no emotions adjacent to each other, and I have 2. But I don't get anything for winning, so they're not going to waste their willpower on that either. So what do they do when they have this extra willpower left? They discard them both. If they had 1, they just hang on to it, and they get 1 victory point for each. So they're going to go up to 3 victory points on their little track. All right, so that was kind of a wash, but the victory points I'm going to gain should make up for it. They get 1 willpower again for the 1 fragment I placed. And diligence gets refilled and rotated. But I still have my entire turn to go, a ton of willpower to use, and 1 essence. So let's get right into it. First, I'll use 2 willpower, like I said, to jump over and attack innocence. This is 1 for my regular move, plus 1 more for my upgrade that lets me fly up to 3 spaces. I'm next going to quell, but I'm going to quell with first gaining a new ability. This is a unique one to anxiety, which is pretty awesome. When I defeat an emotion that has a vibe, so not the basic ones, but like innocence here, I get to upgrade myself with that vibe, so it's a pretty awesome 1-2 punch. I mean, dislike's going to give me more willpower for having quell upgraded, so let's discard bitterness for a yellow upgrade. Now I should be able to see that a mistrust is on top again. So I place a yellow quell on here, and note that it's free, so it's still just going to cost me for my second action 2 willpower, plus 1 of my 2 ambition. And now you're really seeing my combos coming together. I'm going to destroy innocence. And because innocence was a green, I can place green anywhere. Hey, let's finish up quell and gain myself 2 more victory points. And don't forget, I'm already getting 1 from gaining 4 willpower. And I'm getting a bonus from shame. Let's draw mistrust, I think, for my second one, and put hostility on top. Hostility is fun. I can attack an emotion that's adjacent to him from anywhere, so he just kind of starts fights for me. Before I forget, let's mark that I've gotten 3. Oh, so I gain another essence. Wait. I quelled and I fully upgraded something, so I get 2 more. Yeah, so we're probably going to end this game pretty quickly. And let's see, he does lose that frontier, but still has the realm from generosity over there. Let's use my final action to invoke an emotion. Let's keep getting those victory points. I'm going to play dislike. Oh man, I was going to upgrade my invoke with mistrust, but I just realized that it's a green and I already have a green there. So you know what, it's okay. Let's use my second ambition I gained to use a wild and make that anything. Able to say red for now. And I can upgrade it without using it, because I'm not invoking a bleakness anywhere, but there you go. So that's going to get me 2 more victory points. Brings me up to 13. I get another emotion for free, hostility. And cravings on top of the deck again. Let's see, I'm going to do my extra thing to place 2 essence on him, so that's going to cost me 4 willpower for my discount. 1 of the essence has to come from my board, but I still have 1. The other one's coming from the supply, so he's got 2 intensity now. And what's that 2 intensity going to accomplish, you might ask? Well, I'll get this frontier. I'll steal this realm as well, because generosity is only 1, and I am 2 now. You know, I didn't even look at what the last aspirations were. So, okay, have more emotions and more triads. Currently, I occupy 3 triads, and they only occupy 1, because I'm destroying all their guys. And then mine is control more realms. I have 4 out of 5, so that's certainly going well for me. All right, so I'm going to end my turn. I already have 2 emotions. Oh, you know, I did forget, dislike gives me 1 willpower for every quell upgrade I have, and I've got all of them, so there's 4 more willpower for next turn. And I'm going to gain an ambition to keep on quelling, because clearly that's working out well for me. You know, I never looked at what the AI might be doing. They have another defiance, that's the last one, so most likely they're going to defy and do judgment and place a fortress, so let's see. And yeah, again, you can pretty well predict because of the set number of colors. Oh, they're going to place a major fortress instead of a minor one. So there's empathy, so he can't put a fortress there, but he has some other options available to him. He can infect the common aspiration, because that's put more emotions in triads. That doesn't really matter, because he's not placing an emotion. So instead he's going to want to mess with a realm. And yeah, here we've got 2 from dislike and 1 from generosity, so a major, big fortress is going to give him +2, and that'll switch the Valley of Motives back to his side, darn it. And just like for the other one, if this happens to get pushed into the center because a revelation is triggered on it, then clearly that would be bad for me. All right, the card didn't have any movement, so he doesn't move at all. But he is losing the common aspiration, so we're not going to see his hidden one. He's going to go for the place with more. This has 6, this has 7, so he'll gain them a second willpower. And we see one of his remaining cards. It's a Judgment. And I can count real quick and see that there is another Judgment. So they're going to do 2 special operations. And I've got all this handy-dandy chart for all the stuff the AI does. Yeah, it looks like a lot, but clearly once you played the game 5 or 6 times, you can memorize it. So currently Awareness is active, so that means they're going to invoke several emotions with double essence next turn. So they're going to try to place a bunch of people on those triads and tie up the game. And I would love to trigger another revelation, but the only place they could do that right now has 4, and there's no way for me to get 4 with how the board is. Actually, is that true? If I moved, oh wait, but yeah, if I moved here and then triggered it here, then I would just help them out. Because I don't want it to trigger in either of these places, or they'll just pull it right in and get these things for victory points. Right, so let's see, I guess I'll just destroy Generosity, and then I'll put some more emotions down. Right, so to get to Generosity, I do have to upgrade my movement again. Because as you see, I need a special power to move onto a space with another spirit of the other side. So I'm going to discard Mistrust and put a green upgrade on that. Or actually, wait, I guess I don't need to, because if I gain my willpower from Knowledge, I'll be able to upgrade one thing for free. Yeah, let's hang on to Mistrust for the second. And I'll absorb first. I'm getting 2 plus 1 from having this Frontier in my control, so that'll be 3. It's left with 1 more, so they might actually trigger a Revelation potentially next turn. And I'm going to still upgrade my move with that green. Oh, actually, no, not green. I'm going to do it with blue. Why am I going to do it with blue, you might ask? Because I'm still going to discard Mistrust when I move for my first action. I'm going to fully upgrade move. That'll give me a victory point, and when I quell, 2 more. Keep pushing for that 20 and ending the game. So the actual move itself will take 1 to move 1, plus 1 more for moving to an enemy space with that upgrade. Let's go ahead and get my victory points so I don't forget. I'll go say hi to Empathy. And in a very non-empathetic way, I will quell him. Oh, for only 1 willpower now with the new upgrade I got, and using my 1 ambition. And he will go. That does give me 2 more victory points and another ambition. Wow. For my quell upgrade, I get another free green since I destroyed a green guy. So I could unlock Fortify to place my own fortresses. Yeah, it seems like the best option here. I just get a bonus. Let's go for the essence this time. And as my final action, I'll invoke Hostility. Let's see, we'll go ahead and put the extra essence from the bank on him, so that'll cost me 4 willpower. Get 1 of my essence and 1 of theirs. Won't make his intensity better, but he'll be harder to destroy. And also means he is ready to upgrade if I wanted to. Alright, so with him there, we do tie on Cradle of Senses. They don't control it anymore with their fortress. And I now have 3 against their 2, so we take Valley of Motives back. And we get another Frontier. Gosh, is that... Yeah, I have every Frontier in the game right now. Alright, so let's see. Do I want Ambition, or do I want 2 cards? I don't think I need the cards. I don't really need to upgrade much at this point, so let's go for another Ambition. And we'll have Harmony try to staunch the bleeding. We already know it's going to be a double Judgment for 2 times the special operation, which again is based on the common aspiration currently out. So we're going to try to draw 1 card and invoke it with 2 essence, only in a triad where ego has no emotions. So we're going to try to fill up some triads where they don't have anybody yet. So she's currently adjacent to 2 places she doesn't have emotions, so she doesn't have to move for at least this first one. First she's going to place a Comfort, which even with 2 essences is only going to have 1 power. That's good. Right, she does want to put in a new triad, that's the most important thing, but then of course she wants to try to steal a realm if she can, and also mess with a triad and a frontier, so looks like this one closest to her is going to be the clear option. It's going to remove my control of this realm because she ties up anger and flip this frontier to her. Okay, then for a second emotion, Optimism, which will have 2 intensity, so she could place it here, which would get that realm's control for herself. Yeah, but she can't really do better than that, and she'd rather not move unless she has to. It's both of those. And that does flip this because anger is not strong enough. That gets her this realm and the Cradle of Senses. Big turn for her. And because there was an exclamation point, she gets a little bonus, which is 1 victory point, bringing them to 4. There is no movement forced on her, and she has to pull from here. They've got 2 triads represented. I have 4 out of 5. So they were losing the common aspiration. They're just going to get 1 willpower. And they will rotate this to here. I've gone through all their cards, so I'm not really sure what they're going to do now. They've got a Defiance. Most likely is either placing a Fortress or quelling 2 of my emotions. You know, actually, they don't have control of this because anger is blocking Optimism from helping, so only Comfort is tying with anger. Right, so I definitely want to trigger Revelation this turn, although I'd rather either get rid of that, or I can use 1 ambition to rotate this. That's another use I can have for it, and that would get it away from them benefiting. I could certainly quell Optimism out of here. Now, let's start with that. Sadly, I only have 2 willpower, so I think for my first action, I'll grab willpower from the Valley of Motives, then I'll move, then I'll quell. So since I control the Valley of Motives, I just get 4 straight up. That gives me 6. That's my first action. For my second, I'll move. For my third, I'll quell. I guess I could move all the way to Comfort. That would actually get the realm back in my control instead of it being tied. Yeah, let's try doing that. So I'm going to use 2 willpower to fly further. Actually, it would be 3 because I'd have to land on here, but let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to use all my remaining willpower, all 3 of it, to quell with the bonus, taking away an extra 1. I'll use up 1 of my ambition. So Comfort is completely removed. I do gain another victory point, 3 away from ending the game. And I'm gaining a red upgrade for free. You know, I just realized Anxiety doesn't even have the power to get rid of fortresses of the enemy. Usually they do, but they don't. So I'll just get the discount for now. And I'm going to gain 2 willpower from Shame's bonus because clearly I need it. Okay, I have no actions left, but I am going to use an ambition to rotate this to here. And I should note I have the Network of Thoughts under my control, and nobody has this frontier. And then I will go ahead and gain a single willpower, not too great, but also get a free upgrade. So we'll do a blue for Fortify. So if I can upgrade Fortify and then also Quell next turn, that'll get me the victory points to win. Right, but we're triggering a Revelation and not letting them get their victory points for that. And let's see, we get to see what theirs is. Oh wait, no, sorry. They cannot have the same one. So this gets shuffled in. And the next one is, oh, most emotions and triads. They can have the same as me, and that won't work out too well for them. Let's look at the common one. I have more emotions and triads. I've got 4, they've got 1, so I'm winning by 3. And they've got 3 willpower. That's enough to lower me by 2, because the first 2 takes away 1 level, and then the second one takes away another one. So I'm not going to try at all. I'm just going to win that. Then control more realm, because of what I just did. I've got 4, and they've got 1. So again, they can't actually affect me, so I'm going to win that as well. And that does mean I'll be placing one of these major fragments, one of these bad boys. And then finally, they cannot use their gems enough to make them win their own hidden objectives, so they just get nothing for that. So since they have 3 willpower left, they're going to get 3 victory points, bringing them to 7. And they do get a single willpower for the 1 fragment I placed. The fact that it's a major one does not mean they get an extra willpower for it. What they do get to do, though, is get rid of one of the upcoming aspirations, and they'll do one that I'm currently winning, which Frontiers I definitely am. So now we're going to be fighting over who has the bigger line of adjacent emotions. Meanwhile, my hidden one will be having the most fortresses. Great. All right, that rotates. And it gets 7 more. And let's see. I think I need the ambition to quell somebody. And then if I get the place that lets me get a free upgrade, I can get my 3 victory points and end the game next turn, probably. So let's see what Empathy tries to do with potentially their last turn. Oh, so they're going to quell me twice again. So we're currently fighting over who has the most people in a line. So Empathy would like to get over and attack these guys since they're my only pair adjacent guys in the board. But since he can't reach them, he's going to mess with anger, hostility, or dislike. Now, hostility will have no effect if he quells him, so he's certainly not going to try to do that. So I guess he'll instead go for anger or dislike. Getting rid of anger would completely flip this realm because he would let Optimisms 2 actually impact it. Whereas going rid of dislike would just make it 1 instead of 2, which would tie up this realm. So yeah, that's a bigger switch, so he's going to jump over there. All right, so his first quell, he comes over here. He quells anger out of existence. That immediately flips this realm to his control. And I, of course, benefit. I'm going to get 2 more willpower, I think. And then he would like to get back to dislike, but he can't reach him, so he's going to settle. Oh, wait, no. He already moved, so he can't move again. So actually, he's going to have an incomplete, a partially failed action, just get 1 victory point. And all right, when Harmony goes next, although I don't think she'll get that chance, she's going to try to Endeavor. Well, let's not forget, he is losing the current general common aspiration, so he's going to pull from the bigger one and rotate it. All right, here comes my final turn. This is a pretty easy choice for me. I'm going to fly over to here-ish. I'm going to absorb from knowledge. I should get 4... Yeah, if I get all the way over here, because I control both frontiers, I'll get 4 willpower. That's 1 victory point. Then for my second action, I can fly over to Optimism. I'll quell him. That'll get me 2 more victory points. And then, of course, using knowledge to fully upgrade my Fortify action will get me 2 more. So I'll even surpass the 20 that I need to end the game. So let's do it. It's going to be 2 willpower for my first action to fly 3 spaces to this realm. We'll go and absorb. I get a full 4 because of control of both frontiers. And with that, I'll fully upgrade my Fortify and get a victory point. Brings me to 18. Just wait a moment. Okay, now this is going to be an expensive one. I have to move 3, so that's already 2 willpower, and I got to land on him, so that's going to be 3. That's my second action. 1, 2, 3. Love that I can fly so far. On my final action of the game, I will quell this guy. It's going to be 3 willpower with my discount plus my final ambition. That leaves me with just 1 willpower left. But I will completely destroy him. And yeah, I get 2 for draining the 4 willpower and then 2 for quelling the guy. So I go up to 22, past 0. All right, and that is it. We go straight to final scoring. And clearly, I should have upped the difficulty, except for giving them that 1 bonus to their AI. I didn't use any of the upped difficulty settings, and I could have. There's a whole bunch of ways they have in the game to make it tougher for you. But it's how it's calculated. We each get our victory points. So he's got 8, I've got 22. We get our fragments. It's a 3 for each minor and 5 for each major. So I've got 11, so that's 33, and he's got 8 plus 3, 11 total. And then finally, the AI does get a bonus for fortresses left on the map. Basically 1 less than they would have been worth if they were on the identity. So that's 2 and 4, that's 6 more. So I got 33 and the AI got 17, so just about doubled their score. So Anxiety on Wings of Destruction has wiped the emotions out of Bliss, and doesn't seem like a very happy person if we're inside somebody's head, but at least I won the game. All right, there you go, that's Cerebria. Check out the review, and again, sorry that I didn't increase the difficulty. I didn't know it would be such a blowout. I guess my focusing on Quell and having the side of the board that gives me bonuses for Quell, that was a pretty big combo. But good gaming, everyone, and we'll see you at the next stop.